Good morning, Flight Sim fans. Epic Zeus here, and today we're going to go over how I have my controls set up. Now, I have the HOTAS X by Thrustmaster. I've had this thing for 5 years now. I originally bought it for Armor 2 to fly helicopters. This is before the whole DayZ noob thing started, and most people had Armor 2 had the previous, iteration of Armor and Operation Flashpoint, and we mostly played it's a co-op type of game called Domination, where it's player versus enemy. So all the players were on the same team. We fought against the computer, and Evolution was another version. So I bought this it was about $55, $60. It's $50 now. You can get it anywhere for like 45, $50 now. And yeah, it was just something simple to fly helicopters with. But 5 years on, and I'm still using it. It's a great little controller. I've used it from everything from Armor, like I said, Armor 2. I use it on Armor 3. I use it Project Reality. Those type of simulators. And I've used it on Flight Simulator 10, of course, Prepare 3D, X-Plane 10, X-Plane 11, L2, 1946. L2 Cliffs of Dover. Those are World War II air combat simulators. And I've used it on Strike Fighters, which is a post 1950s air combat simulators. It deals, there are multiple Israeli Arab conflicts, and the Vietnam conflict between the U.S. and Vietnam, and some hypothetical conflicts between NATO and the Soviet Union, or NATO and Russia. So I've used it in all those. It works fine. I have DCS. I've used it on DCS. However, if you're going to play DVS or you're going to buy DVS, I suggest getting the Warthog HOTAS, because it has a lot more bells and whistles, and you're going to need those because DCS is overly complicated when it comes to flight controls and weapons systems controls. So let's just go over how I have my HOTAS set up. So I want to start with the button number 2, which would to most people would be the button number 1, which is the trigger. So this front trigger, which is lit up here. So with public beta 15, once you hit a button, it lights it up, and then you can edit it. So this is what I have lit up here, is number 2, which is the trigger. And since I've recently started using Pilot Edge, this is Contact ATC, which you have to have mapped to some button in order to contact air traffic control on Pilot Edge. Next one is the number 3 button up here to the left. That is my trim down. So if I press that, I'll trim my plane down, my elevator trim. If I press 4, which is on the back, which they say it's 4, but it's not. It's actually 6, and then I guess it is 6 on here. Anyway, 6, you have pitched the trim up. So I'm pitching up my trim. Hit number 5, which is right next to it to the left. That's Servos Toggle. Now that disconnects and connects your autopilot. So it's kind of like an autopilot disconnect, and it's almost exactly in the same spot that an autopilot disconnect would be on a yoke. So, but the difference is that it'll also turn on the autopilot. So if you see me switch on the autopilot without using the mouse or anything, that's what I'm pressing. The hat switch is just like a normal hat switch. And then you twist the flight stick and you yaw. Okay, moving over to the throttle. Now it doesn't look like this. This comes apart, so you have your throttle. It can be like this if you want to, but it's awkward. I have it disconnected from the flight stick, the throttle and the flight stick disconnected from each other, which is just a slide. You just slide them apart, and it sits a little further to the left because it's more comfortable for me. But moving on to this, we'll start with the number 2 button on the throttle, which is actually the number 5 button on the throttle. It is flaps up, so it's going to bring the flaps up a notch, which is pretty self-explanatory. The button below it, which is number 6 and number 3 in Explain, is toggling the flaps down a notch. Number 4 below that is going to be the landing gear toggle, so I can raise and lower my landing gear. Number 5 on the front, which is number 4 here, is the whole. It says 5 here and 4 there, so it's confusing as hell. But anyways, it's number 5, and that is to. Those are my brakes. So because I don't have rudder pedals, and I have to have a way to stop my plane somewhere, I just press that, and it's just like you're engaging the brakes. So that's where I have it mapped to. The button below that, which is number 5, it's just I press that and it trims my sets my trim for takeoff. So I figured I couldn't figure out anything else for that button, so I just said, well, pitch trim takeoff. I'm moving back to the back of the throttle, number 7 here. That's my igniter, and I only use this for the PC-12 in X-Plane 10 and the Epic Victory, which is by Aerobasque. And that's just because you hit the 2 buttons below, you'll see 8 and 9. So 8 and 9 are engine starters. So 8 will start engine, and just like in a Cessna, it'll just start the engine. You know, once you set your throttle and your mixture and stuff like that, you just press that and it'll start the engine. And just like every other plane will do the same thing. Even the Baron and the King Air multi-engine. But in a turboprop and on the Epic Victory, you have to press this until you get up to 10% N1 in the Epic Victory, and I forgot what it is in a turboprop. But you get the Victory up to 10% on the M1, and then you hit the igniter, and then the engine will complete its starting sequence. So that's my control setup in a nutshell. Now, if you want to get the HOTAS X, you can still get them for $50, $45-$50. They're great little controllers. Like I said, mine's been through hell. It's fully adjustable. It has a Allen key on the bottom, which you can use to adjust the flight stick, and you can also adjust the throttle. So you know how easily the throttle moves and how easily the flight stick moves. So, but yeah, those are my controls, and thanks for watching.